right? So that's the other component of it, is you can't be a secret agent with this marketing. You have to make yourself really easy to find, and they look you up. Yeah, I do mortgages. I make sure I let everybody know.
Welcome back to Good Better Broker, as we welcome in Brent Busch. He is a mortgage broker with Edge Home Finance, and he is based in Mankato, Minnesota. Brent, great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So a bit about you, Brent. You've been in the business since 2018. You are the #1 mortgage broker in the state of Minnesota, 3 years in a row. And one thing that you really specialize in is how to work the room at a networking event. And I feel like this is such an important topic for so many in the industry. So before we actually get into the details of this, tell us, Brent, how did this come to be for you?
Yeah, how it really developed really slowly, to be honest. Like, I didn't come up with a master plan of, I'm going to teach myself how to work a room, or I'm going to learn how to network. A good component of it was really the fact that I just like talking to people and I like interacting with people. So I developed some networking techniques that just kind of made sense. And then I realized after they made sense that they also made money. So that's really where it all started.
Another way to describe this is planned interactions, because as you were telling me when we spoke before the interview, when you walk into a room full of potential referral partners, you don't like to wing it. So what exactly are you doing to set yourself up for those planned interactions?
Yeah, so an important component for me of going to a networking event is, like you said, having it planned. And, why do you want it planned? It's like, well, you should have a plan for everything. And it's not necessarily a plan to take advantage of anybody or to manipulate anything. But if you can start with a goal when you're going into the room, then you can formulate a plan. So what's your goal? Well, my goal going into a networking event is going to be, I want to talk to people that are important to referring me business about potentially referring me business. So I develop, as I get ready to go into the meeting, I figure out who do I want to talk to in the networking event? What do I want to talk to them about? What's going to be important, and what do I think is going to move the needle for sending business my way? And it's also not a thing that happens really quickly, right? These are relationships that develop over the course of weeks, months, years at different events. So
this is really a lesson in social interactions, because when you're going into an event, you're thinking to yourself, what are the different paths this conversation could go down, and what do I do in turn to make sure that I am steering the conversation the way that I want it to go? So what are you thinking to yourself in your head when you first start talking to somebody to make sure that the conversation is going to go the way you want it to go?
Yeah, the first thing is just natural, right? You just want to connect with people. So you have a nice conversation. I genuinely want to learn about people. And then again, goal oriented, right? The goal is so that we can end the conversation on a topic that is gently reminding them that I do mortgages, and I'd be happy to do any mortgage that they could send my way. And it's not really trying to take advantage of a situation, but it's just having a plan so that you can get to the end point of the point of being at a networking event, which is to get business, right?
Exactly.
And that's what I do, is just have that in place before I go in.
Brent, social media plays a huge part in this, and I'm not saying that you're at the bar or the event, scrolling Facebook or Instagram.
Right.
No, this is all about your social media presence, and it has really opened doors for you when you're at events. So I want you to tell our audience about that.
Yeah, so going into a networking event can be intimidating for everybody, and it's intimidating for me. It's just human nature. You don't know who you're going to talk to. You don't know what to talk about. And what we found is that I do some fair quantity of social media posts. I have a good following. I enjoy it. It's not really about mortgages, but it's fun to watch. And be that what it is, what we've found is that if we have a good, deep social media presence in the community, and I go into a networking event, and there's people at that event that don't know who to talk to. And fun fact, that's pretty much everybody at almost any point, because we've all been there where you go into an event and you look around, and either everybody that you know is already talking to somebody, you don't want to interrupt them, you want to be polite, or you just probably don't know anybody. Well, with a heavy social media presence, those people that walk into that room, they'll see me and they'll say, hey, I saw you do this on social media. And I do cooking videos, right? Because it's my thing. I like doing it. It's genuine. And they'll come up to me and they'll say, hey, tell me about your Swedish meatballs. And like, I'll tell them about the Swedish meatballs. And then we have a gentle conversation about Swedish meatballs and social media and networking. And then it'll eventually kind of back on the previous topic, roll back around to, and by the way, I do mortgages.
So the cooking aspect is one of your pillars, if you will, for your social media presence. The other is unique stunts. And I encourage people to follow Brent on socials, check out some of the videos he's done. One in particular that stands out, I want you to tell people about it, but it's I know it's the one you get asked about all the time. It involves you and a business partner and wearing suits and a whole lot of mud.
So yeah, the stunts are a lot, and they're not sometimes on brand for me, but my business partner he encourages me to engage it a little more, and he's right, because it's outside of my comfort zone, which is not always outside of my comfort zone, but often. So he kind of spearheads that with us, and what it does is it brings some levity to the situation, but it also gives us an opportunity to tell people on social media that we do mortgages, because it's kind of an ongoing joke that we do more than just mortgages. And when we do these things, like I'll explain in a second, we're doing it all dressed up, and then we remind people, and we do mortgages. But there's a component of it of why we do it that way, and that's because we're not talking about mortgages, which are boring. We also don't have to worry about compliance things, because we're not talking about mortgages, we're just saying we do them. That's the extent of it. So what we were doing is we decided to do a little skit where we went out in the woods with a side-by-side, a Polaris RZR, and we drove through basically the biggest mud bog we could find in suits with goggles on. Steve had a laptop on his on his lap. It went flying into the mud, and we drove through. You'll have to watch the video. It's really funny. Interesting thing, we did almost roll over in the video. If you look at the one part where you see the thing going over, we just about flipped it over. Not ideal, but added to the excitement of the event.
I did not know that. That makes it even better. And there was a mortgage spin on it, though, because you're not just two guys in suits driving a side by side through a mud bog. There is the the context that, oh, by the way, we are mortgage guys.
Correct. Yeah, it started out with a shot of us in our suits, and we're lined up there and we're talking, and basically we say, I don't even remember the exact details of it, but we said something to the effect of, mortgages don't always go as planned, and sure glad we have the tools that can get us through it. And then we panned out, and as we panned out, we were on an island in the middle of this mud bog that we had kind of jumped onto, literally in suits and dress shoes, and it was treacherous. You'll see we almost fall. And then it kind of clips back to some music comes on. It's real energetic, and we go flying through the mud. It's pretty funny.
And you guys end up covered in mud. And again, to repeat, you guys are both wearing suits. And I asked you when we were on the phone, oh, that suit must have been a goner, right? And you're like, no, I still have it. Yeah,
it's in my trunk. It's still in my trunk. I still haven't gotten it out. It's all full of mud. I just jammed it in there and left it all.
But you did wash it, or you did at least soak it, to get the mud off?
Well, there was a lot of mud, so my wife would have killed me if I'd have brought it inside, so I actually washed it off in the lake. I did. I went in the lake.
I mean, anybody, look, we're in Michigan, you're in Minnesota, yeah. we're around the Great Lakes. I think anybody can appreciate the fact that you washed this suit off in a lake. So yeah. Good on you, especially for not bringing it inside your house and potentially, aggravating your wife. So back to the food thing.
Yeah.
Because, there's quite the dichotomy there between these crazy stunts
right.
and the food. How has, your love of cooking
right.
helped you gain followers and get attention when you are at some of these networking events?
Yeah, so food is innocent. It's first and foremost, I like it. So if you're gonna market and network, it has to be something that's genuine, right? Like I really like it. Like I'm a pretty good cook. I'm not great, but I can hang. We can cook some good food. So it's fun, and it's important to be able to do that for me because I care about it. And when people ask me those questions, I'm able to talk the real talk and then teach them how to cook. So what happens is that I've really developed a pretty big following. I usually get somewhere between, we're in a small town, but I get 5,000 to 10,000 views on any reel I do of cooking in any given evening.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad. Yeah. And what happens is that people see this and they're interested because it is pretty good cooking. And we'll be at a networking event and they'll come up and they'll be like, hey, how did you do that? Or what was this? Or what was that? And it's really developed into like, I'm the go-to now for kind of some mildly decent food recipes and things in the area and at networking events. So it just naturally works because people want to know. That's kind of the extent of it. I mean, I don't know where else to go with it exactly, but it's just kind of made me easy to talk to.
Yeah, I was going to say, it humanizes you, right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody's got something else that they like to do when they're not doing their job. And
Right.
while mortgages is what you do for a living, cooking is what you love to do. And it's nice that
Right.
you're able to kind of mesh the two together to help you in these conversations.
Yeah. And it's a fun thing to talk about. You know, other people want to talk about it. You have to eat generally 3 times a day. So it's fun for people to talk about. It makes it easy. And nobody wants to talk about mortgages anyways. And they all know that I do mortgages. I promise they do. They really do. Everybody on my follower, all my followers know I do mortgages. We don't need to talk about it because there's nothing to talk about.
Well, speaking of that, you told me that you never, ever will leave a conversation with somebody without doing what?
100% of the time, I make sure that they know that I do mortgages. Now, it's not a pitch. Like, it's not a pitch. I'm not sitting there going, hey, just so you know, I do mortgages, and does your kid need a mortgage? No, we're not doing that. We'll naturally bring it up in conversation, and often it's maybe a one-line thing where it's like, hey, you know, just, you know, doing the work, and, you know how mortgages are, you know, and that's it. That's the extent of it. It doesn't need to be more than that because people are smart. They're very smart. And if they're really genuinely curious, which most people are, they'll look you up, and make yourself easy to find, right? So that's the other component of it is you can't be a secret agent with this marketing. You have to make yourself really easy to find. And they look you up. Yeah, I do mortgages. I make sure I let everybody know.
One thing that I've heard from clients is that, you know, networking events are definitely valuable, but it's tough to go to all of them, or it's tough to go to them and figure out exactly how long you should stay. So in your mind, how long should people be spending at one networking event in particular?
It's really going to depend on you, your situation, the marketing or the networking event rather, and how many people are there, how many people you know, and the level of interaction. Like a good networking event is a kind of a living, breathing thing. Some of them are really sleepy and you run out of stuff to talk about really quick. Some of them maybe are more energetic and people are having longer conversations or they're more rapid fire. Generally, not less than 20 minutes. Generally not more than an hour as far as how long I'm going to stay at a place. You know when you've kind of like it's hit its time frame to leave, and you can feel it when it's like, okay, you're looking around the room. I've talked to everybody. I don't really have another fresh conversation to have. You know, don't make it like stand there in the corner waiting for people to talk to you about something they don't want to talk about. Just leave. Go to the next one. It's not, it's not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. You just get out of there.
So don't dwell is what you're saying. Don't stay longer. Don't stay longer than you need to. Yeah. This is also interesting. You said you can actually maximize your time at a networking event real quick if you want to, and that's simply by finding somebody in the room who's got a lot of followers on social media. You go up to them and you do what? You
just take a selfie with them. It's fantastic. So you walk up to people, and this is what we do if we're like, because sometimes there's a lot of events stacked on top of each other, and you want to go to them all, and you want to do all those things, but there's only so much time in the day, and honestly, I want to go home and spend time with my family too. So you'll find the people that have good following or that own a business that has a great following. Like we've got a couple of restaurants in town that have great followings. You go up, snap a picture with them, and then immediately post it on social media and tag them. And suddenly, if we've got a pizza joint in town with 70,000 followers. So you find them, take a picture with them and tag them. Well, guess what? You just had 70,000 people saw your stuff.
And to kind of illustrate this point even further, you were telling me that you can sometimes go to 2 to 3 networking events a night, be home in time to cook dinner, and then post on social. That's a full plate. No pun intended, or pun intended, I should say, right there. So
if it's one of those nights where it's like we're not talking large balls or anything like that where you're going in a gown and a tuxedo, right? But if you're going to just regular stuff, like you're going to the Rotary or you're going to an Elks thing or you're, the normal day-to-day networking events
Happy
where you,
hour, thing like that.
you should pop in, say hi. You pop in, you set your watch to 20 minutes and you have a couple of quick conversations, snap a photo, off to the next. Well, you start that at 4:30. All right. And I live in a small town, so I can get across town pretty quick. Start that at 4:30. You hit 3 events and you're on the way home by 5:30. Like you're on the way home by 5:30 if you only spend 20 minutes there. You got 1 or 2 pictures at each spot. You've got 6 posts, cooked dinner, pretty good one most of the time. And then you're sitting on the couch and what are you going to do? Look at the dog? Do your due diligence, do your social media. Downton Abbey can wait. Just, get in there and do your social media posts and get it done.
There's an element of consistency with this as well, Brent. And I think one of the best points that you made when we were talking is that just showing up sometimes consistently is going to be massively beneficial.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way?
Yeah. Showing up consistently does a lot of things, and it's more than just like one little effect of, hey, I show up to things and I'm at the events and people see me. So that one of the components that's really important is that the people in the community see you, right? It's suddenly you're everywhere. So if you go to 3 social media event or 3 networking events in a night, you're literally everywhere. Then you post it on social media and you're literally everywhere. They're like, how do you do it? You must be tired. It's like, well, I only spent 20 minutes there, but different story. What happens is that all of the people in the area, the people that should notice, especially if you have all those right conversations ahead of time, because this all kind of plays together. So you have those directed conversations. They know you're there. They begin to see you as the absolute authority in your field. And they also see you as reliable because you're always there. You're old reliable. Like, wow, every time, everywhere I turn. Now that's the client facing component of it. There's a little bit, we'll call it a darker side of it that works really well, is that your competitors see you there too. And what happens is that the more that you show up, and I want to be really clear, my competitors are not my enemies. Okay. They're not. Rising tide raises all the boats. That's a different thing, but how they respond to how I act is up to them. So that's just the way it is. What happens is when you go to these events and you're consistently applying pressure in the community of how well you do mortgages, your competitors see it and they will just get tired of seeing you there, and they know that you're not going to quit. So in order to alleviate the fatigue of seeing you at events, they won't go.
And you are, in turn, exerting your market dominance.
Correct.
It's not a darker side. It's just smart. But I get it. You're not trying to say that you're trying to crush anybody or steal business from anybody.
No.
But I get it. It's like when you do something consistently, and like you said, people see that you're always there. It is, I think, by nature. I got you. It's in a tough spot. I know. It's in a tough spot. I know. I was like,
just crushed it.
We'll do it. It's all right.
You should have heard it in the microphone.
I saw your face.
I know. I'm going to put it right here.
Yeah.
I know.
All right. My bad.
You can.
Okay. Exerting.
Okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Exerting dominance.
I'll start. Yeah. So what you're doing is you're essentially exerting your dominance in the market, right? Because people are seeing that you're always there, and not that you're trying to crush your competition or anything,
right.
But listen, you're not doing this for fun. This is a for-profit business,
Right. I mean, we're there. We're here to make money and compete and do well, and I want everybody to do well. But yeah, how they react to it is up to them, and they can do the same thing to me. They could just if you don't like that pressure, just do it back. I mean, but they know that I'm not going to give up, so it doesn't work. And that's kind of the what's occurred in the market.
So let's dig into interactions now, because we've talked about the events, but I want to focus specifically on interactions with people and how to make sure that those are successful. What is something that people should not do in an interaction to make sure that it doesn't go from good to bad?
Yeah, the worst, probably not absolutely the worst thing, but a really bad thing you can do in any given great interaction. So as things are going well, you're having a good conversation, is to let it go on for too long. When a good conversation is over, a good conversation is over. Sometimes it's just time to say, okay, thank you. And you know when that moment is, because you'll kind of say that last line, one of you will, and there'll be a pause, and it like lasts twice as long as it should have. And it's like, now you're just making up stuff to talk about. When that happens, eject. Say, thanks, it's great talking with you. I really look forward to the next time. We'll see you later. And then you just leave. And it's fine. And it makes it not uncomfortable for everybody. And it's like, it's giving the other person the out, because if that conversation lingers too long, it like gets awkward, and you're trying to make stuff. It was like, yeah, that weather, or that.
How about that game last night?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, whatever. So yeah, basically give your, act as a host. I always kind of pretend like I'm acting as a host inside of the conversation. And when it's time to wrap it up, it's just time to wrap it up, and you just end the conversation. Don't make a good thing bad by letting it go on too long.
You realize that everything you just said could have very well described dating instead of networking, right?
No, I did not.
Everything you said, it's like if you let it go on too long, it may end that relationship, and not just a business relationship, but a personal one. But yeah, I think it's a great point. Like, know when to
you just got to call it a day, and it's good, and yeah, you'll have
wait for next time.
Wait for next time. You'll come up with stuff to talk about next time.
Okay, what is your top networking tip for somebody going to an event in this business?
My top networking tip would likely be,
and I'm gonna give you a hint here.
Okay,
it has to do with showing up with somebody who go to battle with you.
This is really an important component of it, and we see it with a lot of people at network, and you'll notice it now that I mention it. But when you go to a networking event, bring a buddy, bring a battle buddy. Doesn't matter who it is, right? Make sure you're on the same wavelength. Talked about your game plan ahead of time, what you're going to do. But here's the game plan. Don't talk with them at the networking event. Don't do that. Like, y'all can talk some other time. You likely have, and that's fine. When you're going into the networking event, you kind of want to divide it up and then work together and work the room together so that you can hit all the spots as quickly as possible. Because remember, we're trying to do 3 of these in an hour and then cook dinner. Kind of joking, but you get the idea. Networking can sometimes not be fun. So go with a battle buddy. And then, like, when you sit down to dinner, don't sit at the same table. But fun fact, like, you'll see this is really fun. Watch the bankers in your networking events. Like, just watch them, because they're all going to come as a group, like a big group, and they'll have like 8 of them because they were told they have to go. And then they'll all stand in a circle so that nobody can talk to them, and they'll have the same conversation that they had around lunch. And it's like, yeah, you guys keep doing that. I like that, because you be over there by yourselves in your corner, and I'm going to network with all these other people over here and hand out my business card, and I'm still going to be home before you are.
I love it.
So that's the key, is just make sure to divide and conquer, kind of thing.
Okay, and then this is also an important one. You walk into a networking event, and as you were just saying, a lot of times you'll find groups of people congregating together.
Yeah.
Big conversation. What's the game plan to break that up so you can get a one-on-one with somebody that you really want to have a conversation with?
So this kind of circles all the way back to the original question of, what's it like to have a game plan going into a marketing event, right? Or a networking event, rather. You need to know who you want to talk to. And sometimes you're going to go into these events, and you're going to see, and there's going to be people that you really want to talk to. Like, I really needed to connect with them about this, or this. And they'll be talking with 5 or 6 people. And this is where a battle buddy comes in handy, because it maximizes your ability to split people off. So there's this really funny thing that happens with human beings. And I don't know if it's like for real. Somebody will call me out on it. But what we've noticed is that you can have 6 people talking in a group. Like, 6 people can talk together fairly well. And they'll all stand around, and it'll be a really great conversation. The moment the 7th person enters, it busts off into 2 groups. And we've experimented with this. It's been kind of fun. You can tell the whole group that you're going to do it, and it'll still break off into 2 groups. Give it a shot. I mean, try it. For real. Find 6 people, walk up to them, tell them, hey, do you know this is this thing that happens if 7 of us talk? And then in 35 seconds, you're going to have 2 groups. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. When you do that, though, if you lock on to somebody, if you lock on to the person you want to talk to, they're going to split off with you, because it just naturally happens. And I think it has to do with how much attention you can pay. Like, you can't pay as much, you just can't pay enough attention to 7 people. It just doesn't happen. But if you have a battle buddy and you know who you want to talk to, and if there's, say, just 5 people standing there in a group, you can signal, be like, hey, come on, I got to bust this guy off. So you bring them, you walk into the group. Now you got 7 people in the group. And then you can bust it off and talk to the person that you want to talk to. So that's one of my secret tips. I'm kind of hesitant to tell it, but hopefully nobody uses it against me.
Just listening to you talk about all this stuff, Brent, I'm wondering how much trial and error has gone into figuring out what works when you're at these events and also what doesn't work.
A lot. I mean, we trial and error every day. It's a dynamic thing. People are different and everything changes. So what I know to be the truth today for networking and marketing, it's going to be different tomorrow. And that's okay. So we're constantly evolving because I'm probably wrong on a lot of the things I just said. Like, it's just my perspective of it, right? So to answer your question, a lot of trial and error, and it'll never stop because, again, people are continuously evolving how we do things. And social media, for instance, like, it's always going to evolve, and AI is going to make things evolve, and relationships interpersonally are going to evolve, and they do quickly. You just have to keep doing it every day
and keep showing up, and you're doing a great job of that. And I just can't thank you enough. I think this has been an awesome conversation, so much value for people. And again, like, you and I were talking right before we started recording, I feel like this will be, especially valuable for a lot of the people in this industry who at heart are introverts, because yeah, you're in sales, but not everybody feels comfortable walking into a room and chatting people up.
It's really hard to do it. People look at me as an extrovert, and I was out here this last trip with an agent, and I was talking. I'm like, oh, I'm really public and all that, and he looks at me and he's like, Brent, you're not. He's like, you're not public at all. He's like, nobody knows anything really about you. They don't know what you do day to day. He's like, I do, because we're friends. We've been friends for a long time. He's like, I know what you do, but you're a very private person. And I said, I'm not. I'm on social media and all that. He's like, it's you're private. And then I started realizing, I'm an introvert, and I have to work at this, and it's hard. It's really hard to go into these networking events, and you go in sometimes, and it's like, you walk in, and it's like, oh my God. Okay. What are we doing? And I think that's probably where the planning thing came from, is because it's a little bit of a source of peace as I walk into it, or the 7 Ps, prior planning prevents. Anyways, it's a way for me to limit my anxiety as I go into events, because I do have a lot of social anxiety, and I think it's really important for everybody to know that everybody has social anxiety, and it's okay. You just have to go out there, and everybody feels the same, and you'll get through it, and you'll say silly stuff like I do, and nobody will remember because everybody's worried about the silly stuff they said. It'll be fine.
Great point.
It'll be just fine.
Great way to end it. Appreciate your time. Brent Busch with Edge Home Finance. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Good Better Broker and helping us support independent mortgage brokers everywhere. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified about new videos, as well as your preferred podcast platform for a new episode every other Tuesday.